Hey you guys, I am here to tell you that the Youngblood action figures from Loose Collectors are unbelievable. Shaft is the de facto team leader, okay, of Youngblood, always a primary feature, one of, if not the most popular character in the Youngblood comic book, with his magnetic bow and arrows. And then there is none other than Die Hard, who is tied right up there with Shaft. These are literally the best Youngblood action figures. They go perfectly alongside our first wave of extreme action figures, Cabot from Bloodstrike and Bloodwolf. This is just scratching the surface of all that is to come. Loose Collector, Platinum Studios, Rob Liefeld, Youngblood.
This week's theme seems to be updates or upgrades. Characters we already have in, well, okay, it depends on each person's own personal taste as far as upgrade goes. Maybe it's a downgrade. Maybe you don't need it. That's fine. What is disclaimer before we start? There is some newness though, and we're just going to talk about it. That's it. Because I'm Robo. This here's the rewind. As always, there was a bit of news as I was finishing recording the last episode because, hey, it wouldn't be the rewind without some swinging back around, now would it? Last Friday, Boss Fight revealed their Hellboy Series 1, consisting of Hellboy, of course, it's the name of the line. Then there's Lobster Johnson and Gruagash, the Great Pig Guy. And that may be the one I'm most excited about because as far as I can remember, I don't think we've gotten this in 1/12 scale action figure form. A little clarification, I'm not a big comic book Hellboy guy. In fact, when it comes to Hellboy in general, my wife is the collector of the action figures. But we don't have any Hellboy figures in this style. I've seen posts proclaiming that Mezco already did this, been there, done that, but it was so long ago that those figures are expensive on the secondary market. So if you're jumping into that Magnolia style like we are, then don't really want to spend that much money. 1000 Toys also tread this path before, but they came out of the gate at a high price. Plus, their Hellboy had that Lego right hand of doom look that I never cared for. These may be $60 a pop, but they're more affordable than the previous offerings from both companies. So if you're just starting out, here it is, ground floor. In case you're wondering about a jacket for Hellboy, Boss Fight is mentioning in comment sections that they are going to do that. Be on the lookout. The line is called Hellboy. There's going to be variations and maybe even exclusives to some places, who knows? But if they're starting out with Lobster Johnson and Pig Guy, they're going to do more Hellboys, then more characters, hopefully. Let's see how this goes. Something else that popped up its wonderfully ugly head as I was recording last week is the 4 Horsemen Figura Obscura Jersey Devil. And hey, that would fit right into a Hellboy display too, right? I mean, it seems appropriate. Or, well, obviously a Mythic Legions display, but there's also Marvel Inferno shelf if you wanna, or hey, it's a defective Fatal Fluffy to send against your Joes. And they empathize with it, and it slowly turns and like, let me join you. I can no longer fight for the forces of Cobra. I am good on the inside. Or, you know, something like that, but whatever you want to come up with. That's the beauty of things like this. You can do what you please and there's no one around to stop you. I mean, the internet will try, but they can't come to your house and pull these out of your hands. They can't. You can have all the fun you want. You can. You really can. But it also helps that I'm fairly unfamiliar with the Jersey Devil in the first place. So to me, it's just a big horse-headed demon. The sky's the limit. Or hell's the lower limit, whichever direction you want to go. Now I can only hope that pre-orders are still open by the time this goes live on YouTube. But the first drop was it last Saturday? And it did last for a few days. So I'm hoping for the same thing here when the drop is on Friday. Most people will see this on Saturday. If you want it, go and get it at the link below. But if you do happen to miss it, I feel like like we see with a lot of the Figura Obscures, like we see with a lot of Figura Obscuras, there may be a variant down the road, like a retailer appreciation wave or something like that. I'm picturing this in a red color scheme, maybe a green. Yes, I have Aster on the brain, okay? Leave me alone. After a few weeks of teases and taunts, the LooseCollector Platinum Studios Rob Liefeld Extreme Universe Youngblood Die Hard and Shaft are finally up for pre-order. But after looking at those teases and taunts for the past few weeks, I've said pretty much all I've needed to say about these. They are just pure 90s goodness. Say what you will about the comic books from that time, or especially the artwork or the artists, but man, if you lived through it, even though you hated it, you gotta look at these and think, well, okay, maybe it does bring up feelings of pure hatred. I don't even want to look at it. Why is it showing the feet? They're not supposed to have the feet. I get that. I really, really do. But at the same time, it also takes me back to comic shops at the time and going in and picking up your stack of comics and going through them and thinking, oh man. Now, I was kind of out by then, but I did have a friend who did spend a ton of money, and I would go in with him just, you know, for the sake of hanging out and look around and think, man, comics have changed. Well, okay, I did get out about the time of Lee X-Men, so it felt familiar, but different, but also at the same time exciting and, oh, things are changing. What's going on here? Okay, maybe they're not as changing as much as I think they are. That's just the same character in a different costume and a different name, but still, see what these figures do to me? Just nostalgia. I guess I haven't noticed that Die Hard's shoulder donuts are actually metallic red. That is a nice pop against the rest of the costume. I also like that Shaft seems to be smaller than Die Hard, or Die Hard's larger because of Liefeldian proportions. I didn't actually know their sizes until LooseCollector posted some comic pages or covers, and I thought, huh, it makes sense. But to see that in action figure form is cool too, because it's accurate. But there is the price, and yes, these are $80 to $85 a piece, depending on where you pre-order them. That is a chunk of change, but that's the ever-changing world in which we live in. Sometimes it makes you want to give in and cry. Dave did mention that if the first wave does well, that Badrock and Chapel are shoo-ins for the next wave. And he said on Facebook that Badrock would be the size of Monster Hide, which is a big old chunk of plastic. So, I mean, if you're not in, you're not in. If you don't want to pay the price, don't pay the price. But if you're in, this may be the best Youngblood figures that we're ever likely to get. Just saying. Here's an early look at the upcoming BigBadWorkShop Soldiers of Fortune agents. The reason we're seeing these before the rest is because these reuse the Operation Monster Force Blackwatch agent suit bodies with the updated elbows and knees. I reviewed those this week, and seriously, now I don't mind detents. They keep limbs in position, but these new style that they're using on the suit bodies, so smooth. They're tight, they're firm, but oh, so buttery. They're so good that they're updating the rest of the Soldiers of Fortune wave, the Operatives and the Saboteur, to those updated double joints. So those are taking a little bit of time. But if it means better final product, I think I can wait a little bit longer. That should streamline the whole process, finalize a lot of things, and then the reuse and the releases will start pumping, coming out at a faster pace, and probably be like, whoa, too much, slow down, after a couple of years of hurry up, give us stuff. No, we won't know what to do with ourselves other than gripe one way or the other, huh? That's what we do. This week, Storm Collectibles announced their Storm Arena Street Fighter Alpha 3 Nash, and yep, they had already teased a silhouette a while back, so we knew he was coming. Plus, to someone like me who only has a passing knowledge of the big name characters, all I can muster is Yep. But if you're a big Street Fighter fan or an Alpha 3 fan specifically, or just want Nash, you've been waiting all your life for Nash, or maybe you're a big proponent of boating and water sports safety. There you go. Staying with that same game series, Jada Toys has announced an Entertainment Earth exclusive Ultra Street Fighter 2 Player 2 Cami. Not really a whole lot to say here. It's Player 1 Cami in different colors. So if you're into that kind of thing, there should be a link to Entertainment Earth. I'm actually recording before it goes live, so I have pictures and I don't have the price in my head, but it should be on the lower third when it popped up at the first of this segment. Always prepared. Somehow I missed the Mattel Masters of the Universe Masterverse New Eternia Mossman at San Diego Comic-Con. I remember walking into the booth and I remember seeing this display, but I think I was focused on their take on 2000X figures that's kind of working its way into the Origins line, which I'm not going to talk about, but they looked cool. For some reason, I was like, oh, man, look at that. And then my focus went to the Star Wars booth across the aisle, which is usually playing clips. They've been doing that for 10 years. But every time I walk by or it grabs my attention, I think, oh, I'm just going to stay here. I've seen this. Where are we going? And then I walked right out of the booth, never went back to Mattel. It wasn't until later I saw pictures of this Moss Man. And I'm glad I did because I like the look of it. Again, if I just look down, oh, that Moss Man's pretty sweet. It is the Masterverse New Eternia Beast Man with the appropriate Uncle Mossy parts on top, but that's kind of the tradition at this point, right? It'd feel wrong if it wasn't Beast Man reuse. Look at this. Does it not work? Because I think it does. Plus, no flocking means it's allowed within 20 feet of my being. Seriously, I have a restraining order against anything remotely resembling flocking. I'm working with government agencies in order to outlaw this scourge of the toy industry. No, I don't care what you think. This is for the good of the people. I'm doing this for you. As I'm recording this, it is still available on Mattel Creations. So if you're interested, clicky the linky in the description-y. I hate what I just did. I hate it. What did I? Little light on the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse news the past couple of weeks, but that's okay because they have been just pouring it on for months. It's nice to have a little break, but I figure it's just a little breathing room before they get to showing even more stuff because they got to get all the DC out they can before next year. Or as I understand, the end of next year. But I'm just taking DC week by week as it comes along. This week it's all about DC Rebirth Batman and DC Rebirth accessories, or more specific, Bat modes of transportation. It's the Batmobile. I don't know why I'm taking the long road around Gotham to get to that point, but I was building suspense. This is the McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse McFarlane Toys store exclusive DC Rebirth Batmobile. There you go. While I've been skipping all the Batmobiles since the 89 version because it's the 89 Batmobile, this is slightly tempting. And no, it's not because I'm a huge fan of the animated series. Y'all know that by this point. But I can appreciate the design. And this seems to take a lot of cues from that. Do you have to watch the cartoon in order to like things from the cartoon? No, you don't. No, you don't. It's that design kind of brought into the real world. Have some techie bits to it, some harder corners, but still flat planes and a bit stylized. The general shape probably means that it drives like shit, but it'll look sleek doing it. Since I have no connection to the show or DC Rebirth, I can't point out any inaccuracies to this design because I don't have a clue what it looks like in the first place. So I can look at it and think, that is a pretty interesting design. Oh, $100? Was it originally supposed to have a light up feature? Because the box sure as hell goes out of its way to show some kind of glowy effect to the eyes on that bat on the front. A Batmobile needs a driver that can actually sit in it though, so McFarlane Toys also has the DC Multiverse Gold Label McFarlane Toy Store exclusive DC Rebirth Batman available. Or they did. It was out of stock when I last looked. This is the 4th iteration of this figure though. The first one, what did it look like? There was a dark gray and black version, and then a light gray in a 3-pack with Batwoman and Clayface. A medium light gray and blue for a digital release, and now this medium dark gray with black and an, oh man, I love the purple on the inside of the soft goods cape. It had to be done in order to sit in the Batmobile, but the Batmobile didn't sell out. This Batman did. But if you absolutely must have it and don't mind spending another $100 on the Batmobile, there is a bundle set on McFarlane Toys store for $110. That's like buying the Batmobile and getting Batman for $10, or buying the Batman and getting the Batmobile for $80, carry the knot, $3. Does that sound like a deal to you? Something else that was happening as the last Rewind posted was Hasbro showing new Marvel Legends at Fan Expo in Canada. There they revealed the Spider-Man retro-carded Mysterio, who, from what I understand, is based on the Spider-Man animated series. Guess what? I didn't watch that either. I've seen episodes, but I don't have any attachment to it. It's not near and dear. I do like some of the designs, and I've picked up some of the figures when they were Pulse exclusive, but here, I'm pretty happy with my classic Mysterio I have with the darker colors. Saying that, I don't mind the brighter colors. And hey, unmasked head is kind of cool, although I would never display him like that. Mysterio needs to be Mysterio'd. Did I mention Walmart exclusive though? Sorry. Hopefully this is more like Prowler, where it releases and it sticks around on the website and then later gets clearanced. I'm not hoping for clearance, but maybe it'll go that route instead of any Spider-Man that is Walmart exclusive that's like, hey, you want this Spider-Man? Too bad. Okay, you can have it. Nope, you can. I got you again. Can someone tell me why I love this Marvel Legends Strong Guy though? That is not my era of X Factor. In fact, like I was talking about earlier, I think I was out by then. I didn't even know much about Strong Guy until way later. Probably X Factor Investigations. Can we get that team in Marvel Legends? Which is essentially the team we have, just in clothes. It took me a while to even build the Strong Guy Build-A-Figure we already have. I like the figures in the wave, but I didn't open all of them at the time. In fact, it's probably been in the past couple months that I finally put them together and put them in the display. Then, boom, boom, they're putting out what I think is an upgrade. I like the 2 new heads. Well, the Build-A-Figure has the smiling head, but these look more Strong Guy-ish? Does that even make sense? I feel like these are more accurate. Nicer paint apps. They brought the blue up onto the upper torso piece like it should be, because that's cloth at the bottom. And then they painted that zipper. Although when I look at reference pictures or search Guido on the internet, that's usually yellow. So maybe it was accurate the first time around, but it's a sculpted detail. I love my little hits of silver. I love that being painted. The dumbbells, the barbells being a bendy wire of some kind. So it looks like there's so much weight on the outside that it's bending the bar as he picks it up. That is awesome. I don't know why I am enamored with that. I am fixated on that. I want a couple of those. One to give She-Hulk for sure, but there's also Thing and probably some others. I wasn't too sure about the blue on top of the shoulder pads. It made me think, well, are the shoulder pads just more like armor pieces that come down, and is that his shoulder poking through? But when I was doing the searches for reference pictures, did have the blue up on top, and it is kind of metallic, so I've come around. I like it now. I mean, I pre-ordered it as soon as it went up, but I like it more than I did that first day. And that is more than I ever thought I would say about Strong Guy from an era of X Factor that I do not care about. But if the rumors are true and we're getting an updated Polaris and Havoc, and we have Madrox and we got Wolfsbane, I do love building a team. and I love this shape, and I guess this will go in that shelf. And the old one I can maybe customize into some soft goods. Can I do a sweater and some pants? Or maybe it's a unique body shape for the display, you know? It's adding something different in a sea of superhero bodies. Here's that. Oh, but that's not all. A couple of days ago, Marvel announced their new Marvel Unlimited Plus membership pack, and it includes a Marvel Legends black costume Spider-Woman. No, I didn't know what that was either. So, searching again until they updated the page and put a link to the actual variant cover that came out last year. This figure is based on one appearance on one comic cover that was a variant to the regular issue. Yes, I would love to see every new Marvel Legends female from here on out use the latest and greatest when it comes to base bodies. But at the same time, I really don't have a huge problem with Shriek, who is getting reused here. It still has the double elbows, it's still pinless, it doesn't have the up-down hinge at the abs with the floating rib cage, but it's still a pretty dang good female base body. And I was even okay with the reuse of the X Factor 2-pack Polaris's head, because the hair, it's nice and big and it comes down, and they've added a little bit of venom goo or mask to the face. But then I realized, especially when I looked over at the display, they aren't reusing that 3-pack Elektra head for anything else. That seems to match up better to the artwork than the Polaris hair, as much as I love it. So yeah, there's not a lot of effort put in here for something that's behind a $100 paywall based on a costume that appeared one time. Yeah, I don't mind Shriek. I don't even mind the Polaris head. I wish the Elektra hair was more available, because I would pull it off, put it on here, if I cared enough about this figure. Now, yes, I will be getting it because I subscribe to Marvel Unlimited. So it's a nice thing that I'm going to get on top of me being able to read Outback X-Men and older X-Men stuff and a little bit of new X-Men stuff every now and then. And then I caught up on the Darth Vader series and this and that. So I use the app. My son uses the app. I'm okay with getting a figure of some off-the-wall, oddball look of Spider-Woman. Plus it's black and white. You know me. The Marvel Arachnid theme, of course, brings us to this week's hot topic. The Bandai SH Figuarts Gamerverse Spider-Man. And here's where I'm going to lose a lot of you. I can see the appeal here. And I do understand the comments of best Spidey ever or maximum who. But for me, as someone who doesn't really lean too hard into the Gamerverse looks unless it supplements my comic book shelf, it doesn't really do much for me. I know. Hold on. Please, give me a chance. Shh. This is a good-looking Spider-Man in some aspects. Okay, I'm gonna start throwing specifics out. I love the colors. That light blue and bright red. I wish more Spider-Man figures were in this paint scheme. Sculpt-wise, I dig the big eyes. But when it comes to the sculpted in webs, I can go either way. They're okay, but I don't think they are the prerequisite for a proper Peter Parker. My problem is twofold, and I think one over-accentuates the other. First, the proportions, or at least the proportions that are presented right here. I know it's meant to be a game pose, but it's just awkward and kind of bulky. And like I said, I don't care in the first place, so neeners. But I also think that the posability that's beautifully featured in all the other shots does mean that a more relaxed, neutral position is possible. Is it because of all the joints that they were able to do this? And if they just bring down the arms, straighten them out a bit, quit cranking the torso, straightening, can you get a vanilla Spider-Man? But at the same time, I'm also the one who always says, when it comes to Amazing Yamaguchi, you're gonna pose your Spider-Man in a neutral position. He's supposed to be all crazy posed. So I may be being a bit hypocritical, just a bit. That is until I get to the SHF joints. And that more than anything has been one of my reasons for falling out of love with Figuarts in the first place. The open hips, the butt flaps, the garage door upper legs, whatever you want to call them. But man, they look okay sometimes. They're meant to hide things, but once you get them into crazy poses like this, it's just like, hey, there's extra stuff going on down here, especially when they lowered the thigh swivels and made them kind of look like really tall boots. So there's a cylinder look to the hip. I'm gropping way too much about this. I know, but I just wanted to make my point. I wanted to say, or give my reasons for not caring about this too much, even though I look at it like this and I think, okay, no, I don't need that. Oh, not, oh. Oh. Ooh, quit doing that to me. You're tempting. Like I said, though, I understand the appeal. But at the end of the day, it's just not for me. And that's okay. Because I'm passing, but I'm happy for y'all. That brings a smile to my face and a glow to my heart. I'll just wait for the next offering and see if I like it more. Because I'm also not getting this Bandai SH Figuarts Star Wars Revenge of the Sith Mace Windu. One, I already have most of this with the first release. The body, the neutral head, the purple lightsaber. Adding a soft goods robe, the swishy lightsaber effects, and an alternate angry face isn't enough for me to drop money again. Plus, I've been pretty dang happy with the Star Wars Black Series offerings, so there is that. I have all the maces I could want. Speaking on the new portrait, I'm back and forth. Sometimes I look and think, oh, but then I'll catch it out of the corner of my eye and think, oh, But again, it's not for me, it's for you. In case you missed it, or you want an upgrade, or think of a scenario, think of a reason that you do want it, and go with that. Because like I said, the internet can't come to your house and tell you what and what not to do with your own property. I do like to think that Tamashii Nations is using the revenue, the surplus from reusing all these bodies with the reissues and such, to fund newer figures, characters we haven't gotten, or chipping away at that stockpile of prototypes they've been building up for the past 10 years or so. I mean, we're also seeing reissues of the SH Figuarts classic Darth Vader and Stormtrooper, and those are just reissues. So apparently they did well enough to warrant a reissue. So Bandai, take that money, give us some characters we don't have, or characters in new looks, different looks, looks that we don't have. Is it that hard? God damn it, Hasbro. All right, we knew the single releases of the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Star Wars Black Series, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi were coming. In fact, that's one of the reasons I skipped on that big box set. I love the Dio parts and the extras from that set, but I knew after lugging it home on an airplane, I'd mess around with it for a couple days, take some pictures, and then most of it would go in a tub, not to be seen for a good long while Anakin and Obi-Wan would go on the shelf. So waiting for the singles saves me some time and it saves me some money. Saying that, I am ever so slightly disappointed that these don't come with any of those extras. No alternate head for either of them, no force pushing hands, no swishy lightsaber effects, and people were speculating that they would have soft goods robes, and we don't even see that. You're telling me that the whole wave of Acolyte figures can get soft goods robes, but the two main characters from the prequel trilogy can't? That's what we're being told. That's what they're saying. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, maybe I was expecting too much, but now I'm betting that we're going to see another release or two or three of these two characters down the road. Because surely they're going to reuse the Sith Anakin head somewhere, or the ruffled and tussled Obi-Wan head. The Force hands are just going to be, well, of course, we've got the Han pointing finger that's exclusive to a set, I think. And there's been another hand somewhere that I remember. Where was that? What was that? Because you got to keep that SDCC set special, right? Yeah, to the point where you're not even going to offer it up for pre-order after the show. And, you know, make it a pain in the ass to get. While the G.I. Joe team puts up Cold Slither for a good long while so everybody can get their shot at that. Almost makes you think it's not Hasbro, huh? I am gropping a lot, ain't I? Let's talk about something a bit more fun, like the new reveals for the Star Wars Black Series holiday figures. Not holiday special figures. Calm down. Absolutely no one was asking for a Christmas R2-D2 or a reindeer stormtrooper. Absolutely no one needs a Santa Grogu or a Snowball and Ice Porg. But I'll be damned if I don't absolutely love these, especially since the Star Wars team is now putting more TLC into these releases. I, of course, dug most of the previous efforts, but a lot of them, especially the early ones, were just paint jobs. But then we saw the Werewookie with the new sculpted parts on the top of the head, and then this year's Halloween offerings were just Well, okay, the Stormtrooper is just a paint job, but they did a good job of making the antlers feel very arts and craftsy. Just felty. But a translucent blue Porg? Come on now. Then the R2 gets more soft goods with the beard and the hat. The color scheme is amazing. And I'm just now realizing that the blasts on the side do kind of look like icicles. Christmas. And is that Yoda's cane for the candy cane that does plug into the port? Some may not like this, some may hate this, but I'm all in. I've been all in. They're just too good. They are big, dumb fun, and if there's anything we've established on this channel, is that I love some big, dumb fun. I love all the other stuff too, but big, dumb fun's my favorite. No pre-orders just yet, but I did see Yakface posted some links to Walmart, so if you're wanting to get in early, go ahead, check him out, and then go from there. And that's all I got for this week. Or that's all I know about at this exact moment in time. That's what I care about. That's what I've noticed. But if we did miss something, as we always say, next week's are for swinging back around. That's what we'll do. As always, special thanks to the Nobots and the Nobodies, the Patreon and the channel members. Just keeping that wind under my wings. I truly, truly appreciate it. I actually have absolutely no idea what I'm going to review next week. I went through Operation Monster Force last week, wave or season 0 and 2, or at least most of the figures from those waves. And then I know I've been threatening a play day, but I'm not ready yet, at least for a full-blown play day. I think I'm doing a Marvel play day where I've picked up some stuff that'll go in with Marvel Legends, maybe some actual Marvel Legends, maybe some customs I've been sent. And then from there, I don't know. An idea I've had in the back of my head since San Diego Comic-Con is a little reading robo, going through this Bandai Namco SH Figuarts figure posing book. They just go through and, you know, give some tips and tricks for posing up figures, you know, which way to lean, which way to turn parts of body for certain things, and it's actually kind of helpful. It's useful. And it would be interesting to go through it, because if I did that, it would stick in my own brain instead of going, well, which page? I can't even remember what I read a minute ago. Well, if y'all want to see that, let me know. As far as shows go, now that we're entering September, I will be at Jolanta in, well, outside of Atlanta at the end of September. So if you're around, then stop on by in there. I'll just be hanging out. I don't know if I'm supposed to be just standing in random places talking to people, but it was fun at Toylanta. I figure it's gonna be the same at Jolanta, talking toys or whatever else anybody wants to discuss. And I think that's really all I have. How you doing? Everything okay? Doing good? And it's not just about toys, just life in general. Y'all doing okay? Having some fun? Oh, I slipped it in there. I segued right into it. Because you better be having fun, especially if you're watching this channel. It's a prerequisite. It's on the entry form, the application, in order to watch this channel. I'm full of shit. Y'all know better. Bye.